Let's take this conversation further. Bring in economist Miriam Altman, who's joining us by Skype, I believe, from Johannesburg. Miriam, always great to have you on ENCA. So not a surprising announcement as far as these downgrades are concerned, but that still doesn't take the sting out of it, does it?
No, not at all. The S&P, by the way, was already 3 notches below investment grade. So, the others are following suit. The problem now is we've just got to deal with these domestic risks that they're pointing out. I think we know these issues are there, ranging from stabilizing the budget process, strengthening revenue collection, stabilizing state-owned enterprise finance. We knew these things are there.
But we've known these to be existing problems for many years now, yet as has been flagged by the ratings agencies, the issue isn't that South Africa is not indicating on paper that it's aware of the problems. The issue is that there's a lack of confidence in the ability, the will, to actually implement what's needed to bring us out of this rut. Do you think we will finally do it this time?
Well, we must do it this time, is the point. And the things that have to be done, much of the work that I'm doing in the National Planning Commission and my colleagues as well is focusing on the institutional improvements that are required to make progress. From stabilizing the leadership and boards and executive management of the key infrastructure parastatals, enabling Edward Kiswitter, who's head of revenue services, to strengthen his executive team and digitize processes and improve revenue collection, to managing, a better strategy with the public sector unions, and not just taking on this narrative we've got to cut, but rather looking at efficiency, right skill, right job. Really getting a longer term strategy. We have to do these things now.
But how much further does the outlook from the ratings agencies complicate the work, as you were referencing just now, that you are doing at the National Planning Commission at the moment?
Well, it doesn't complicate our work. It complicates the work of the country. From the National Planning Commission perspective, we're putting across views on the kinds of reforms that are required. And when I say reforms, the most immediate thing is really to strengthen state capacity. Doesn't even require a change in policy or rules. It requires adherence to them. And so we've been, specifying, precisely what needs to be done. And what Moody's would say as an example is, if you do these things, then we're going to start turning around. And there is evidence to show that even, at a 2 notches below investment grade, which is where Moody's put South Africa, it could take 5 years to get back to investment grade. And well done if we can get those things done to move the dial as they request. They also say it could get worse. So
5 years to recover. I think there's a slight delay, Miriam, on our line to you tonight, so apologies if I do speak over you every once in a while. But just on that 5-year expectation that's when we would most likely be able to recover. And when you look at how bad things are just with COVID-19 compounding the situation in this year, you wonder what will be left in 5 years.
Oh no, this can be turned around for sure. What we're trying to put across is that these things are within our power to do. And Treasury's been making that point since 2017, actually, which is that many of the challenges that we face are within our power to fix. And then remember that there are a lot of challenges that aren't within our power, global dynamics that we're very subject to. So it's really important to be getting these things done. So, as I say, it's the leadership and stability of leadership in the infrastructure, state-owned enterprises like Eskom, PRASA, Transnet. It's commitment to the top leadership of municipalities to sort out municipal finance. It's managing the public sector negotiations in a way that's a little bit more conciliatory and longer range view, and that the two parties are coming together more productively. That's really what ratings agencies want to see. Sometimes they're put up as negative forces, but actually what they're doing is they're protecting the safety of creditors, that companies that are lending money to South Africa have some certainty that they could be repaid.
And we're expecting an outcome.
It's not as though all is lost when you don't have investment grade, just to say. You know, it doesn't mean that life is over. Plenty of countries are in that zone right now. You can continue, we can improve. There's plenty that we can do to get the growth rate up and start getting confidence. And we have a lot of investment that's sourced. It's mainly sourced domestically, actually, and that's to our benefit.
So we're expecting an outcome from the courts in the coming days on that public sector wage battle, because the unions and government are currently having that out in court. Say government loses that court battle, how much wiggle room will Treasury have to carry us through, let's say, a 5-year period where we're trying to rebuild and reform?
Oh, we'll try to remember the 3-year agreement ends 2021. The 3-year public sector personnel wage agreement ends early 2021. So a new agreement should be in play. What the unions are saying, as far as I understand, is they're saying, you know, we have a 3-year agreement. You can't just tell us that the 3rd year is off. But now what needs to happen is a longer range view is required. That's, you know, even more than 3 years, you know, maybe the next 3-year agreement, but a longer range view that looks at stabilizing public personnel costs, that looks at performance, getting the right skill in the right job, you know, maybe fewer bureaucrats and more service delivery around policing and health services and so on. But, you know, that's actually where the conversation needs to go. And that long-range strategy is what's required. So there's plenty of space. It may not be, even if they're not successful in this fiscal year, that story ends in any case in March.
Miriam Altman, economist, speaking to us on the latest data from the ratings agencies, their predictions, their forecasts for the South African economy.